That's a tough one. As a company guy, yes. We have to put 3 A-team efforts together. In a short-term scenario, when you have one team that has a shot, then it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay to take something from somebody to give to the other on a very, very, very temporary basis. If we ever position ourselves as a company of having an A, B, C team, we got major trouble. So it is an act of, I don't want to say it's an act of desperation, but it's if something like that goes down at our team or any team, it is kind of a sign that, okay, we've done everything else we know to do. This is all we got. And it's I don't want to say it's a sign of weakness, but it is a sign saying we have no choice. And that's not the position we want to be in. But if the 31 isn't in position to win the championship, we have to be willing to do the things, as long as they're ethical, we have to be willing to do the things that we need to do to help the 29 win the championship, which is clearly the case that we appear to be in.
Okay, let's go David Newton, Jim Utter, Hank Kurtz. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, Jeff, David Newton, ESPN.com. You follow other sports. I know when there's a 1 versus 2 showdown, people get real excited. You don't see that in NASCAR, but here, because of the way Jimmy and Denny have performed, it kind of has that feel. I was wondering if it had that feel to you that that it's kind of like a showdown between those two, especially
well,
2 points.
as of late, they've been the two best. There's no doubting it. They've both an extreme amount of confidence, going into the race about their ability. I read some quotes from Denny Hamlin this morning that pretty much made it clear how confident he was. I think it is a kind of a shootout. I'll say that it's motivation for everyone else to go be one of the guys that knocks the two of them off. Especially with this race. But there's I mean numbers don't lie, and those are the two that have been doing it the best, the most recent. I think it's good for the sport any time that you can match the favorites against each other head to head. I think that's always good for the sport.
Jim Utter, Hank Kurtz, and end with Johnny Buck.
Johnny Buck.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer. Jeff, this kind of takes David's question a little further. Jimmy and Denny have won the last 8 races here, but at some point, even if they both run well, don't Denny and even Kevin need to beat Jimmy Johnson here at some point, whether he's leading by 4 points or 40 points, because as long as he's the guy in first, just being close doesn't really cut it, right?
Points are points. There's 5 to go. You're going to take all the points you gain over the next 5 races, add them up to what you've already accumulated, and that's going to be the champion. You can run 15th here and still win the championship. There's not something that says the key to winning this championship is you have to beat Jimmy Johnson at Martinsville. Chances are, assuming they don't have a problem, if you beat Jimmy Johnson at Martinsville, you had a good day, because they typically have good days here. I see that point, but it doesn't. The record book doesn't count up points and say, well, Martinsville got points. You got points from Martinsville. It doesn't know if they're points from Martinsville or from Talladega. It's just points.
Hank Kurtz, and end with Johnny. Go ahead, Hank.
Hank Kurtz, AP. Jeff, as a guy who's been doing this a long time and has challenged for championships and covets a championship, how do you reconcile in your head what Jimmy's been able to do?
A lot of people, I think, resent him for it. And I think you hear that in people's voices, and I have a hell of a lot of respect for what they've done. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wish it was me, and I wish it was my team. But it's not, because they've done a better job. And I'm not one of those guys that believe they've lucked into it. I'm not one of those guys that believes that, all the stars lined up and everything happened just right for them. I think they went out and won them. And I have a lot of respect for that. I know how hard it is. because I've been trying to do it for 16 years and haven't been able to do it. And they've done 4 in a row, and that's an unbelievable feat. And anyone looking at it with anything other than respect, I think, doesn't understand. They don't give them the due that they deserve. I mean, that's so. I'm disappointed I haven't been able to win one yet, but that doesn't diminish the fact that they've won 4 in a row. That means to me, it makes it even more special, to be quite honest.
Final question from Johnny Buck.
Hi, Jeff. Johnny Buck with
You got the
Martinsville
best
Bulletin.
name in all of motorsports, Johnny Buck.
Appreciate that.
That's pretty cool.
Name.
That's pretty cool.
How about the hair? Where do
Johnny.
I rank on the hair in motorsports?
What's that?
Where do I rank on the hair
Turn around.
in motorsports?
There you go. Yes, sir.
I'm going to leave that alone.
All right. Hey, rightly or wrongly, there's a big perception out there amongst the fans that Jimmy Johnson has this thing in the bag, and obviously he's won 4 in a row. You can't take that away from him, but just kind of wanted your take on the idea that with 5 races to go, that this thing is a foregone conclusion.
Well, I think it's far from a foregone conclusion. I just don't believe that this thing's over by any means. I think there's a lot of racing left to go. A lot of things happen in 5 races. I just don't see that it's a foregone conclusion by any means. Matter of fact, I've been watching it from my perspective, obviously. But when I step back and look at this year in particular, I just think anything can happen, and I just don't by any means think it's a foregone conclusion. They're going to be hard to beat, but there's one race changes so many things, and there's so many teams still. I know everybody says Jeff Gordon's out and Kyle Busch is out, but you got Martinsville, you got Talladega, you got Phoenix, you got some races coming up that stuff happens in. And, I by no means think it's a foregone conclusion.
Jeff, as always, we appreciate
Thank you,
your
guys.
time, and good luck this weekend.